Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TMXing Adventures. My name is Lisa Keegan, and this week we are bringing the cafe to your home. So I hope this week you can get inspired with recipes that rather than going out and buying them, you can make them yourself in your Thermomix, whether you've got a TM31, TM5, TM6 or a thermo cooker. So let me show you today how to make Florentines in your TM. So love this recipe. If you've not tried it, you need to give it a go. And do put in the chat box today. Do say hi if you're watching along. And if you have made this recipe, does anyone want to take claim to making it? I'd love to know if you have. It's been a long time since I've made it, that's for sure. So first step, preheat your oven to 160. Line some trays. Now I'm going to do this a little different today, okay? Because in the past when I've made this recipe, I don't know if it's my technique, but I end up with a slab of Florentine, not a little beautiful circular biscuit. So my tip today is going to be that we're going to do it in silicone cupcake molds instead. So that means that they will come out perfectly round and not one big slab, which, you know, that's helpful. Rather than getting a massive slab of Florentine, I'll get little ones. Hey Jenny, hey Sharon, hey Vicky, lovely to have you on. So I've got two different sizes to choose from. Okay, this size is available in the mix shop in grey and orange. This one, I feel like it's out of Kmart. I don't know, I've had it a long time. But anyway, work with what you've got. So whatever you've got already. I think it would be challenging if you had like a stainless steel or aluminium tray, whatever it is. I think they'd be hard to get out, but with a silicone one, once it's cool, they'll just pop out easily, a bit like muesli bars. All right, so that's my first tipper today. All right, some raw almonds, 50 grams of raw almonds. In they go. That's not almonds, that is walnuts. Let's try over here. So 50 grams, in they go, into the Thermomix. There we go. Now we're going to chop these down. One of the first steps is that some walnuts, 50 grams of walnuts. Now I reckon you could play around with your combo of nuts and seeds by all means in this recipe. I don't think you need to stick with the standard what they've got. And even you can see I can accidentally put more in. It'll work out perfectly fine. Hey Grace, lovely to have you on this afternoon. Some cranberries. Now if you don't have cranberries, you could use sultanas. You could use, you know, some dried cherries, some dried blueberries. I reckon a whole lot of different things there you could use instead. 60 grams of that. So how has everybody's day been today? It's been nice and warm here today. I feel like summer hasn't realised that we're about to roll to autumn. It's been quite muggy. On with the lid. Please tell me I bought the lid. I did. Here we go. And we're going to split these 8 seconds on speed 7. So it's going to give them a rough chop. So let's do that. Gave me time to rearrange some containers back here. Transfer to a bowl and set aside. So it's actually, I said it was a rough chop. It is a rough chop, but it's a bit further than a rough chop. So to me, that's more like nearly down to an almond meal. Not quite an almond meal. You can see there's a bit of texture to it still, but it's not super fine either. It's kind of in between. So we're going to transfer that out. And we're going to continue on with the recipe. Now, the next two ingredients, or shortly, it may not be the next two, but shortly, it's going to ask for brown rice syrup and coconut oil. If you don't have these things, there is a swap for you. So just hang on a second and I'll talk about that in a second without cleaning the mixing bowl. I love that step. All right, 40 grams of coconut oil. Now, if you don't have coconut oil, never fear. You can make this with butter. Just put in 40 grams of butter. It will work exactly the same, okay? Because we're going to melt and dissolve this in a minute. Has anyone made it with butter instead? I'd love to know. There is also a recipe you'll find on the UK cookie dough for these. It is slightly different. It does have the cherries and that sort of stuff in it, but it's another great recipe. And you can see that one uses butter. I'm breaking up, Jenny. Who's downloading things in my house? Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't last for long. All right, and hopefully my mic's staying on. All right, next is the rice malt syrup. Don't skimp on this. This is the binder, okay? This is what's going to stick these together as they set out of the oven. So in the oven, it will caramelize this, and that is what sticks it together. All right, in it goes. Nearly there. That's it. Is that correct? Yep. There's that. So if you don't have rice malt syrup, what can you use? Maple syrup, honey. They would work perfectly fine. I don't know that you might be able to use a raw sugar. You may be starting to experiment a little too far if you go to that, okay? Because I just don't know how that would go. Now we're going to cook this off. So it's going to cook for 2 minutes, and it's going to start that warming, softening process on varoma. And it says prolong the time if necessary. This is probably more important if it is winter and your coconut oil is solidified, or if you're using butter. Okay, in those cases, you may find that this step is going to actually need to be done. But in my case today, it is hot, that is melted, so it's happy days. All right, so we can just probably keep an eye on that. It won't take long to combine. And we're going to then add our next ingredient. So we need pepitas, which are the green little seeds. We'll need our mix. Now it does call for flour. I'm going to use GF. Maybe this is why in the past mine has spread on the tray too large. This may well be the reason why. So today I'm going to use the GF flour. It's only a small amount, but that might be the culprit for that spreading. So definitely, if you are using GF flour, please put it in a cupcakey thing so it doesn't spread too far. Okay, I'm going to skip this step because it's taking too long. And we're going to move right on to rolled oats. So let's put our 50 grams of rolled oats in. And it's just a liquid in there, just giving you guys the heads up on that. It's just a liquid. All right, 50 grams, in it goes. And then next up, let's push next. There we go, 50 grams of pepitas. In that goes. And 1 teaspoon of mixed spice. I forgot to get that out of the cupboard, so let me grab that now. Thankfully, my cupboard is just here. There it is, mixed spice. And thankfully, I have the teeny tiniest left back. Hello, Geraldine, lovely to have you on. 1 teaspoon of that goes in. And 1 tablespoon, I nearly said that wrong, 1 tablespoon of plain flour. You guys know me, I'm just gonna guesstimate that. If I can get it out of the packet. Don't you hate it when someone does this to the packet and it all gets stuck there? All right, just a guesstimation of 1 tablespoon. There we go, and our reserve nut mixture, and we are just about done. How easy is that? So on with the lid of the measuring cup, it's going to mix through, and next, not long, 20 seconds. So let's grab the trays and we'll get ready for the next step with those trays. And by the way, if you're doing this in your kitchen and cooking along later, now's your clean up time. This is when you get to make your kitchen sparkly, because you can actually do a lot in 20 seconds if you're not on a live video. Okay, there's a lot you can do. So I've floured myself. So I've got the standard cupcake size. I've got the mini cupcakes as well. So place 2 teaspoons of mixture. Now just check it. Check it's well combined. Mine is, but I don't reckon it will always be. It's really going to depend each time on your mix. You can see there's a little bit of flour left. Do knock that in. Little tip for that flour is to actually, when you put it in, try not to put it on top of the blades. Try and sprinkle it around the edge. But today, oh well, it went where it went. So it says to put onto your tray. So if you were doing this the way it calls you to, it's 2 teaspoons. It's not much, onto a tray. And it says to then, using damp hands, flatten and shape into a circle. Okay, now my circles always turned out as a whole tray. So, which we broke it up. It was really tasty. Greg and I ate it, but it was a whole tray. But I'm going to just put a little bit in here. Now, another tip for when you're doing it in something like this is you're not trying to fill the whole lot up. You're not trying to make an entire cupcake container full. You're only putting into the bottom, not even a centimetre. So it's about half a centimetre, because if you think about how big they are when you've had them at a cafe, they are only that high. All right. Now, That's all you want to put into them. Don't be too particular about pushing them down. You will find that with this amount of rice malt syrup, they will actually spread naturally, which is why I've had trouble on the tray with them ending up everywhere. Okay. Hey Chris, lovely to have you on this afternoon. So just a little bit in the bottom, allowing it so that it can actually do its thing and spread in there. I think it's also the coconut oil that allows it to have that flexibility. So I would be looking in here at only putting about a tablespoon in. Give it a little push down so that it's kind of the right shape. It doesn't have to be really hard like you guys have seen me do with things like muesli bars, where you actually have to be really solid. And then I'll just show you that. There you go. Look at that. One little one done. But you can make a whole lot of those then. The very important thing is don't try and handle these while they're warm out of the oven. They have to be cold. Now you'll see as the recipe goes on, it tells you to bake for 12 minutes, which isn't long. These may need, if you get generous with the height, these will need a little longer than probably more like 15 to 18 minutes, depending on your oven. Clean and dry the mixing bowl, and then it teaches you how to melt some chocolate where you grate it and then melt it to put over the top. Little hint, if you do it in here, you can actually put the chocolate on in here and it completely contains it. The other thing I really like is when you're doing it in here with that chocolate, if you decide to do the chocolate, which I haven't actually decided if I want to or yet not, we'll see. But what you can do is then you can trickle it. So rather than having a massive amount of chocolate on each one, you can just actually have a little trickle. So it's not so chocolate heavy. So that's another thing you can do when they're made like this, is be able to have that control where you're not using as much. And obviously use your chocolate of preference as well. We use a 95% dark here, but you might use your milk chocolate or whatever you'd normally do. You could even do a flavored chocolate. Wouldn't like salted caramel be yummy or something like that? So allow it to cool completely. Here's your 180 grams. The other thing is if you're shortchanged on your chocolate, say you don't have 180 grams, it's another good reason to do the trickling instead of pouring it all over the top. And then insert the measuring cup, you'll see it grates. Has anyone grated chocolate in your Thermomix before? Do let us know. I know the good old Torta Caprese. It's a flourless, beautiful almond chocolate cake. That is a great one for grating chocolate in your Thermomix. So I haven't done that recipe in very many years, but it used to be the classic in Thermomix world. Scrape down the sides, and then you can see it melts. Now it melts at 80 degrees. It may not take that full time, especially if you pull down the quantity of chocolate, and then put it over the top, let them set and enjoy. Super easy. Now, if you want these to last more than an afternoon, like we will here, then you'll want to be putting them in an airtight container once cold. And a little tip as well, while I'm finishing up, is do put a paper towel in there. What does that do? That takes away the moisture. So rather than letting your bickies go soggy, maybe you like soggy bickies, but if you don't, then put a piece of paper towel in there and that'll just keep that moisture at bay for an extra couple of days so that you can then enjoy them over a period of time. So I hope you found that helpful this afternoon. Give this recipe a go, and when you do, please do share your final result with me. I would love to see it. So otherwise, guys, have a fantastic afternoon. Those of you who are new and watching on, do scan my QR code, which is that way, not that way, QR code, and go check out my website for more inspiration for your thermomixing. Lots of videos up there. These ones as well get uploaded up on that space, but there's things like essential pantry downloads, lots of different resources and tools for you up there on my website. But otherwise, guys, take care. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon for some more thermomixing. We might be making bagels tomorrow afternoon, which will be lots of fun. So I hope that you can make it then. Thanks to those of you who are saying hi on today. Do remember to share this with your friends and family so that they can watch along and get inspired for their thermomixing. And if they need help getting one, I'm here to help them as well. But otherwise, hey Claire, it's been ages. How are you? I hope you're well, you and your boys. But otherwise, guys, take care, and I will see you tomorrow for some more thermomixing. Bye for now.